There was a spark, a loud pop, and then the single most satisfying sound I have ever heard in my adult life, Karen screaming over the fence like someone had set her Gucci sneakers on fire. Technically, it was her son's ATV Charger that caught fire. Technically, no one was hurt. And technically she had it coming. You don't steal electricity from an electrical engineer and expect to get away with it. Not after I warned you. Not after I documented it. And definitely not after you laugh in my face and say, "It's just a little juice, lighten up." Oh, I lightened up, all right. I lightened up her entire backyard. But let me back up a sec, because this didn't start with sparks and screaming. It started with a blip. A tiny, almost polite little dip in my energy monitor at 2:12 in the morning. Now, I'm not some cranky guy with a multimeter and a chip on his shoulder. I design power systems for data centers. Electricity is my love language. I notice things, patterns, loads, phase drift. Most people sleep through the night. I check inverter logs with my coffee. You know what I mean? So when my solar inverter started showing a phantom 1.8 kilowatt-hour drain between 1 and 3 a.m. every night, I noticed. It wasn't HVAC. Wasn't the hot tub. Wasn't battery cycling. It was external. Something pulling load from outside my system envelope. And that's when I started thinking about Karen. Karen moved in 2 years ago after what she described, loudly often, as a liberating divorce. She had oversized sunglasses, a voice that could cut through double-pane windows, and a relationship with HOA bylaws that bordered on delusional royalty. She cited rules like scripture. Once yelled at a 10-year-old for riding too close to her hydrangeas. Yeah, that happened. Recently her pride and joy was this souped-up electric ATV for her teenage son. Loud, flashy, obnoxious, and hungry for power. One afternoon I'm trimming hedges, minding my business, and I see it, an orange extension cord slithering over the back fence like a snake. It disappears behind my tool shed. I actually laughed. No way. No way she's that bold. That night, I killed every exterior breaker except one. Next morning, 2:12 a.m., dip logged. Exactly 2:12. I walked the fence line. Cord gone. Retracted. But I'd already snapped pictures. I decided to be civilized. Walked over the next day, rang the bell. She answered in yoga pants and sunglasses, holding a mimosa like she was accepting an award for brunch excellence. I explained the power drain. Asked gently if someone in her house might have used my outlet. She blinked. Smiled. Oh, that? Yeah. We figured it was no biggie. Just a little charge while our garage panel's being fixed. You've got solar, right? You barely notice it. That's not how electricity works. And it's definitely not how permission works. I explained calmly that it was theft. That it affected system balancing. She patted my arm. Actually patted me. Relax. You're such a tech guy. I left before I said something regrettable. I called the HOA. 3 days later, I get a warning letter for creating hostile neighbor dynamics and installing dangerous devices along shared boundaries. Apparently, Karen claimed I'd set electrical traps to threaten her family. That's when something shifted in me. I'm not confrontational. But if you steal from my grid, lie about it, and then try to paint me as the villain, oh, now we're in my arena. So I designed a decoy outlet. Perfectly legal. Fully to code. Entirely safe for humans, pets, or curious squirrels. But wired through a tuned impedance circuit that would fry any charger drawing more than 3 amps sustained load. Household devices? Fine. Sensitive charging circuits? Toast. I mounted it on my side of the fence. Angled just right. Tempting. Forgotten looking. 3 nights later, the cord was back. 2:17 a.m., spike detected. There was a bright blue flash. A pop. Then that shriek. Her son ran out in his boxers. Smoke rising from the charger like a Halloween prop. I stood in my workshop, sipping tea, feeling something dangerously close to poetic satisfaction. But that was Act 1. Next morning, HOA shows up. Khakis. Clipboard. Smug expression. You can't install unauthorized electrical devices near shared boundaries. I explained with diagrams that the outlet was on my property and code compliant. I did not mention the surge induction loop. They fined me $500 anyway. So I escalated, not emotionally. Precisely. Upgraded the outlet. Installed a hidden data logger disguised inside a ceramic garden gnome. Motion-triggered cameras disguised as birdhouses. Real-time alerts to my phone. Cloud backups. And I left the decoy cord draped lazily over the fence. 4 nights later, buzz. 1:42 a.m. load detected. Threshold exceeded. Flash. Pop smoke. Not dramatic this time. Just enough. And this time I had everything. Video. Logs. Timestamps. Instead of waiting for the HOA to spin another fairy tale, I walked into their office with a stack of screenshots. Section 8B. Unauthorized utility access. Janice behind the desk went pale. Karen, of course, responded by calling the police. Claimed I'd endangered her child. The officer came. I invited him in. Showed him the footage. The logs. The schematics. He leaned back and said, "Wow. You're not playing around." "No," I said. "They are." He left with no citation. Karen stood across the street, watching like she'd swallowed a lemon. Here's the twist, though. I wasn't the only one. Tom, 2 houses down, mentioned his mini fridge losing chill overnight. Nancy's garden lights flickering at 2 a.m. The Patel family's freezer thawing mysteriously. It hit me like a voltage spike. She'd been running a circuit of theft across the block. We formed a group chat. Shocked by Karen. Started with 10 members. By nightfall, 23. We compared logs. Installed smart monitors. Set decoys. One neighbor caught her son plugging into an RV hookup while they were on vacation. At the next HOA meeting, we showed up in numbers. USB sticks. Bills. Breaker logs. Karen tried to deflect. "This is harassment. Community power should be shared." Community power. The room exploded. Even Greg, the HOA president and her longtime ally, couldn't ignore the data. Then came the bombshell. One neighbor pulled a year of utility bills. Their usage spiked exactly when her ATV appeared. Aggregate theft across the block. Over 3,000 kilowatt hours in 4 months. That's not a little juice. We filed with the city utility board. Audit launched. Karen received a certified letter, investigation for meter tampering and utility theft under city code. She ignored it. That triggered a subpoena. The final report ran 60 pages. Screenshots. Comparative load analysis. Luminance mapping from security footage of her backyard parties. Yes, she'd been powering full karaoke nights, string lights, bass amps, mini fridges all off stolen lines snaked under hedges. Her backyard had been a parasite-powered nightclub. Restitution came in at over $1,800 in back-billed energy, plus HOA fines, legal fees, and violations. Board members resigned. New elections held. A former firefighter named Gwen took over. Revised bylaws. Clear language on utility theft. Neighborhood changed. People waved again. Talked. Shared tools. The group chat evolved into garden tips and memes about extension cords. Karen's ATV vanished. Rumor was it got sold to cover bills. Friday night Coachella? Gone. Replaced with gnomes. So many gnomes. Her son went from cul-de-sac prince to lawn mowing community service volunteer. And then one afternoon, she walked up to my property line. No sunglasses. No performance. "I owe you an apology," she said. "For which part?" I asked. The theft, the lies, the false police report, or the HOA circus? All of it. I didn't forgive her. Not then. Maybe not ever fully. But she looked smaller. Less electric. Later that evening, I sat on my porch with tea. Sun dropping orange behind the rooftops. No spikes in my logs. No humming ATV. Just wind through trees. A kid rode by on a regular bike. Neighbors waved. Peace, I realized, isn't something you wait for. Sometimes you have to design it. Wire it carefully. Protect it fiercely. And if someone tries to siphon it away, well, sometimes karma comes with a fuse. So here's my question for you. Where's the line between defending yourself and going too far? If someone steals from you, lies about it, weaponizes authority against you, how would you respond? Was I petty? Or precise? I'd genuinely love to hear what you think. Drop your take below. Have you ever had a neighbor cross a line like that? And if you did you unplug the problem or just learn to live with the buzz?